Hello, and thanks for joining me for this learning module. In this lecture, we're going to introduce the concepts of the National Incident Management System, or NIMS, as well as the Incident Command System, or ICS, and we're going to discuss their role in the management of large-scale incidents. Upon successful completion of this learning module, you should be better able to differentiate the National Incident Management System and the Incident Command System, define what a mass casualty incident is, and list the key components of the incident command structure. So NIMS provides a framework that enables federal, state, local governments, as well as non-governmental entities to work together. It standardizes terminology, resource classification, training, and credentialing. The Incident Command System, or ICS, is a standardized approach to the command, control, and coordination of an on-scene incident. It's usually implemented by the operations section, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and it's designed to ensure responder and public safety, to achieve the incident management goals, and to ensure the efficient use of resources at the incident. So what NIMS is, it's a comprehensive, nationwide, systematic approach to incident management. It includes coordination of incidents, resource management, information management, etc. What it's not is just the incident command system. Okay? It is not a static system. It's a dynamic system. It can be expanded as needed, and it can also be brought back in, reeled back in as needed as well. So there are three main components of NIMS. That's resource management, command and coordination, and communications and information management. So resource management describes the standard mechanisms to manage resources, including personnel, equipment, supplies, teams, facilities, before, during, and after incidents to wrap up and to share the resources a little bit more effectively. Command and coordination describes the leadership roles, the processes, the organizational structures that are used for incident management at the operational level and at the incident support level. And then lastly, communications and information management describes systems and methods that ensure incident personnel and other decision makers have the most current and up-to-date information and equipment they need to make and to communicate decisions. And as anybody who's been in this field long enough will tell you, when you work a large-scale incident, communications is a huge problem. It's always the weakest link. So the National Incident Management System provides flexibility to adapt to any situation, whether it's a planned event to an unplanned disaster. It provides standardization to ensure interoperability among multiple organizations. And it provides unity of effort to ensure the completion of the common incident objectives. A multiple casualty incident, we call it an MCI, is any situation where you have more patients than rescuers. So since it's usually you and your partner on an ambulance, if you were to show up at a single vehicle wreck that was a minivan with 5 injured folks in it, technically that would be considered a multiple casualty incident. You've got more patients than you have rescuers or resources on scene. So using plain language, common terminology, rather than using 10 codes or other types of radio codes, enables responders from multiple agencies to work more efficiently together. So you roll up on this accident, you've got multiple patients, you're going to need to call in and let your dispatch agency know what you have, how many potential victims you have, and what kind of additional resources you're going to need. And we'll talk a lot more about that in the next lecture. The National Incident Management System defines command as the act of directing, ordering, or controlling by virtue of explicit statutory, regulatory, or delegated authority. So in using the Incident Command System to manage an incident commander is assigned. This incident commander has the authority to establish the incident objectives, to make assignments, and to order additional resources as necessary or required. So incident command comes in two forms. In a smaller incident, you're probably going to have a single incident commander. So for a wreck out on the highway with a couple of vehicles involved, the local EMS supervisor, the local fire chief or fire officer may take command as a single incident commander. However, when we get into larger type incidents, unified command is a better option for us. And unified command allows agencies with different geographic and functional responsibilities to work together effectively without affecting the individual agency's authority, responsibility, or accountability. Unified command is going to typically be established when no single jurisdiction or agency has the authority or the resources to be able to manage the incident. So chain of command refers to an orderly reporting structure within an incident management organization. Unity of command deals with the fact that all individuals have a single designated supervisor that they report to. And the principles of chain of command and unity of command are: number one, clarify those reporting relationships; number two, eliminate confusion caused by conflicting instructions; and number three, enable incident managers at all levels to direct the actions of all personnel who are under their supervision. Chain of command allows an incident commander to direct and control the actions of all personnel at the incident. Span of control refers to the number of subordinates that will directly report to a supervisor. Now, ideally, that optimal span of control is 1 to 5, or 1 supervisor to 5 subordinates. But this ratio is just a guideline, and it's going to change depending upon what the incident objectives are, and just based upon the layout of the incident that we're working at. When a supervisor's span of control becomes unmanageable, they can assign additional subordinate supervisors underneath them, or they can redistribute their subordinates to better manage them. Okay, so just to summarize, the span of control can be based upon the type of the incident, the nature of the task that you're doing, existing hazards and safety factors, as well as distance between personnel and resources. The incident command staff usually includes the public information officer, the safety officer, and the liaison officer. The public information officer, or PIO, is the one who's going to interact with the public and the media and others needing incident information. The safety officer is the one who monitors incident operations and advises the incident command on any matters relating to health and safety of those operating at the scene. The liaison officer serves as the incident command's point of contact for organizations that are not directly a part of the incident command system. The command staff positions are established by the incident commander, and they report directly to the incident commander. The general staff includes operations, planning, logistics, and finance and administration section chiefs. So the operations chief conducts operations to reach the incident objectives. Operations is the only part of the general staff that will be established at every incident. Planning, logistics, and finance are reserved for larger incidents that may span multiple hours or days or even longer than that. Planning supports the incident action planning process by tracking resources, collecting and analyzing information, and maintaining accurate documentation. Logistics arranges for resources and needed services to continue the achievement of incident directives or incident objectives. Resources can include things like personnel, it can include supplies, facilities, apparatus, equipment. Think about being at the scene of a large-scale incident that may or may not have restroom facilities. How are we going to feed our responders who are working on the scene? And these are all things that logistics will handle. Finance and administration will monitor the costs related to the incident and provide accounting, procurement, time recording, and cost analyses. And these become really important in the reimbursement phase after an incident has occurred, so that we can collect back as much of the money that was spent on the incident and help support our local resources. So here we see a possible configuration for a large-scale incident that's going to span several days, and it's got all of the different command staff functions activated. So public safety agencies like fire and EMS, law enforcement, we fall under the operations section. Okay, when we talk about the operations section, this is the only section that is activated at all incidents because it involves police, fire, EMS, rescue, etc. So we have these different branches, divisions, groups, strike teams, task force, and resources here. And we need to talk about these because we need to understand what each of these are. So a branch is the organizational level having a functional or geographical responsibility for major aspects of incident operations, and a branch is led by a branch director. So we need to learn this common terminology that's part of the incident command system. A division is the organizational level having responsibility for operations within a defined geographic area. A division is led by a division supervisor. Groups are organizational subdivisions that are established to divide the incident management structure into functional areas of operations. So groups are composed of resources that are assembled to perform a specific function, such as EMS, and it's not confined to a single geographic area. A group supervisor supervises the groups. The strike team is a set number of resources of the same kind and type that have an estimated minimum number of personnel, common communications, and they report to a strike team leader. So an EMS strike team would be similar resources consisting of multiple ambulances on a scene to do a particular job, which would be emergency medical care. A task force is any combination of resources of different kinds and types that are assembled to support a specific mission or operational need. The task force is led by a task force leader. So a task force could be something like a fire truck and 2 ambulances and a heavy rescue unit that are going in to do search and rescue and care for victims who may be trapped. And then lastly, a single resource could be an individual provider, a piece of equipment and its personnel, such as a fire truck and the firefighters that come with it, or a crew or team of individuals with an identified work supervisor that can be used at an incident. So here we see the resource management process, which includes methods to identify, order, mobilize, track, demobilize, and reimburse and restock resources during and after an incident. So the first thing we need to do is have the incident objectives, strategies, and tactics defined by incident command. Once that is complete, incident command will identify requirements and resources that are necessary to get the job done. Once the need is identified or needs are identified, resources are ordered and requested. Ideally, we start locally and we use as many local resources as are available. And once we get to the point where local resources are no longer available, we can request additional assistance through mutual aid agreements or by involving government assistance. When mobilizing resources, it's important to understand that unrequested resources should not self-deploy to the scene of any incident. It's dangerous, it's irresponsible, it interferes with incident management, and those who do this become a liability and are usually not helpful. All resources need to be tracked throughout the deployment, and resources are reassigned if needed. Otherwise, when those resources are done, they're demobilized and released from the scene. Lastly, the restocking of supplies should be completed prior to returning to service, as we would on any call. And in larger incidents where FEMA has been activated, agencies may be eligible for reimbursement of time and resources, again, as long as that was properly tracked. So we go back to the importance of the finance and administration and the track and report section here, because without that, it's hard to be able to get that reimbursement for your agency and the resources you used. Okay, so it's important to understand that again, smaller incidents aren't going to require as much of a resource management, and you may be able to rely on your local resources. But larger incidents are going to require that we use this resource management cycle, and that we forget the small incidents. The EMS branch of the operations section is responsible for 3 functional groups. We're going to be responsible for triage, treatment, transport. The EMS branch is led by a branch director, and each of the groups, triage, treatment, and transport, is led by a group supervisor. Now, we're going to talk more about this in the next video, but understand, we said earlier that a branch is for a common function. So EMS branch would be here, fire branch would be another branch, law enforcement could be another branch, rescue and recovery could be another branch. So Here we see the resources that were used in addition to the textbook to create this learning module. This is the link to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA's National Incident Management System courses. These are free courses that you'll receive a certificate of completion for, and they span a whole host of different categories. So I highly recommend you take a moment at some point to check out what they have and take the courses that you think might benefit you as you move forward in your career as an EMS provider and first responder.